Hello and welcome to Sparky Hobbies. My name is Ben, and I'd like to talk a little bit about my experiences with the new event deck from new Phyrexia. I recently moved, and I don't play standard. I usually play casual, and wanted to go into a store. They're having a standard tournament. I didn't have a standard deck, so I was like, "What do you got?" And there were a couple event decks there, and I heard that this one contained a Storage Forge Mystic, and I'm all for those kind of shenanigans. So I said, "Yeah, let's go ahead and give me those." And so I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with it. Introduce a little bit about the deck. There's going to be a deck list posted below. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experiences during the first tournament, and then I'll make a second video where I talk about my experiences where I take it to a second tournament, actually, and my final review. So this is the event deck from White Deck called War of Attrition, and it features the card art of what is the backbone of the deck, which is the Porcelain Legionnaire, the 3/1 first striker that can cost 2 if you wish to pay the alternative casting cost of 2 life. And it starts off with 4 copies of the 2/1 Elite Vanguard, just a vanilla creature really fast. The 4 copies of Flare Husk, 1/1 for 1. We have the 2 copies of Cordulis, the 1/1 first striker, as long as it's equipped. Then we get into our next set of 2/2 for 2, Leonin Skyhunter, flying. I found this to be very useful. The Leonin Relic Warder, a 2/2 for 2 that exiles target artifact or enchantment. We have the possibly 3/1 for 2, or the 3/1 for 3 first striker, Porcelain Legionnaire, the one of the new alternative casting cost cards introduced in new Phyrexia. Deck comes with 21 planes and 2 Dread Sanctuaries. It's a 4/2 creature activated 4. Can tap for a colorless land. We have the 2 copies of Stoneforge Mystic, very famous card right now that's going to be banned except for in this deck. So if you wish to take this deck for a run, you can play the Stoneforge Mystics out of the deck, and the 4 copies of Journey to Nowhere for creature removal. Another big backbone of the deck are the living weapons. We have the 2/2 for 3 Sickle Slicer, the 2/2 Flyer for 4 Skinwing, and the Bone Horde that gets bigger when for every creature that it counts in the graveyards, all graveyards. Some of the one-ofs in the deck. We have the 2/2 for 3 Double Striker, protection from red and green, Mirran Crusader. The Persteel Paladin draws a card whenever an equipment comes into battlefield under your control, which works for Stoneforge Mystic even if you don't cast it. Also has a Metalcraft component that allows you to equip equipments for 0. We have the Kimba Ka Regent. At the beginning of upkeep, it counts the number of equipments attached to Kimba, and you get a 2/2 white token. We have the Apostle's Blessing. It's an instant spell to protect your creature. Target artifact or creature you control gains protection from artifacts or color of your choice till end of turn. We have the rather expensive equipment. Costs 3 to play, 3 to equip, but it gives a creature +2/0, has first strike, vigilance, trample, and haste. And just the sort of alternative to Bone Splitter, which is the Darksteel Axe, gives +2/+0. This card is indestructible, and it costs 1 more to equip than Bone Splitter at 1. I'll go into the sideboard a little bit later, but I wanted to talk about my matches, which I won the tournament with the pre-constructed War of Attrition deck. So yeah, this was a bit surprising that I could go to a standard tournament and win. It was just a local card shop, so there wasn't any sort of super high level players there, but there were some tournament worthy decks, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. My first match was against Omen Machine, and an Omen Machine Liliana Vest deck. That the shenanigans that they hope to create were to tutor up an Emrakul and put it directly into play using the Omen Machine. And Emrakul is, of course, the Rise from Eldrazi card. It's like a 15/15, an Annihilate, whatever. It's just, play card, I win sort of card. And this deck was just much, much too fast for it. If you lead with an Elite Vanguard, followed up with a Porcelain Legionnaire and maybe a Leonin Skyhunter, game's going to be over rather quickly. And Omen Machine just was not fast enough. My second match of the night in the tournament was against a tournament level deck referred to as Caw-Blade. I'm sure you're very familiar with Caw-Blade. Caw-Blade basically goes and gets 4 copies of a small 1/1 Hawk, uses the Stoneforge Mystic to go grab one of the new swords that are printed, like the Sword of Feast of Famine, or I forget the other one, but you basically equip to your Hawk and attack, and it also runs 4 copies of Jace the Mind Sculptor. And I won against Caw-Blade with this deck, and it wasn't really all entirely luck either. This deck was able to I was able to take out a Jace the Mind Sculptor by attacking with a Leonin Skyhunter directly and a Skin Wing that I went and got with my Stoneforge Mystic, and I just evaded his creatures and flew over directly at Jace. He was able, what may have maybe been of a play mistake, is that he did try to stop some of the early damage with his Hawks from my Leonin Skyhunter. I was able to use the removal from the Leonin Relic to take out a sword. And yeah, so the first game I just sort of took care of his threats. I journeyed to nowhere one of his copies of Stoneforge Mystic, or at least his first copy of Stoneforge Mystic. And yeah, so I won the first game. The second game featured the Stoneforge Mystic into a Batterskull, and I was hoping to possibly use a Porcelain Legionnaire in combination with something else to take out the Batterskull. He didn't have quite the 5 mana needed to re-equip it at that point, but I instead journeyed to nowhere the Germ creature of the Batterskull, and I don't know if that was the right play. I think in retrospect I should have went ahead and journeyed to nowhere as Stoneforge Mystic, but basically it was Batterskull beatdown, and I did eliminate a couple threats. I did use the Relic Warden to take out his first copy of Batterskull, and so I did take care of a couple threats, but he was able to get another Batterskull on the table, and yeah, that was Batterskull beatdown. The third match of the Caw-Blade, featuring the War of Attrition deck versus Caw-Blade, I won again by playing just the deck. I just played the Elite Vanguards, a couple Flare Husks, got the Stoneforge Mystic, went and got a Skin Wing, which I found was way more useful than the Bone Horde just due to speed. The Bone Horde is very late game. And I put enough pressure on him to the point where by the time that Caw-Blade was really in a position to win, I actually used a combination of cards that was sort of interesting. I had enough little guys, the Leonin Relic Warder, Leonin Skyhunter, Porcelain Legionnaire, Elite Vanguard. I had a mass of creatures on the table, and I was able to force him into a particular situation using my activated Dread Sanctuary. This card ended up being way more useful than I had initially basically thought it was going to be, because in the third match against Caw-Blade, I put him in a position where he was below 8 life, and if he didn't block the Miram Crusader, if he didn't block the Dread Sanctuary, he was going to lose the game. So I forced a block between these two creatures, and then the following attack I was able to hold out one turn against Caw-Blade. and I was able to just basically fly over with Aline and Skyhunter and kill him. And so, you know, I forced a block using the Dread Sanctuary and won my second game, went 2-1 against Caw-Blade. My third match was against a Goblin Rush featuring 4 copies of Goblin Guide and Spike Shot Elder. It also used Memnites and the sorcery that you sacrifice an artifact and you get 3 goblins. And it was trying to activate the enchantment quest for Goblin Lord. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it, but it's another tournament level deck. It's not as good as Caw-Blade. First game, I was able to take care of the Goblin quest for the Goblin Lord with a Leonin Relic Warden. I was able to make some not so good trades. Like for instance, I traded a lead Vanguard with a Memnite, but that meant that he couldn't sacrifice it to get the 3 goblins he needed, and I was able to use a Journey to Nowhere to take care of. I was able to use a Journey to Nowhere to take care of, I think he ran a couple copies of the Goblin King to give his goblins haste and make them a little bit bigger. And just sort of took care of the answers as I needed them. And in the second match, I went to the deck's sideboard. And what's in its sideboard is very well equipped to handle red deck or red and black vampires, which is another common deck you'll see at tournaments. Red and black vampires, which is the core Firewalker, 2/2, 4/2, protection for red. Whenever a player casts a red spell, you gain a life, and 4 copies of Celestial Purge. There are 4 copies of Revoke Existence. I did bring a couple of copies in against Caw-Blade. Don't know if it was really that great. The Arrest, I did bring these into an extended game after the match, but it didn't have any effect. And then the Core Duelist and the Apostle Blessing, and the Apostle's Blessing I'll talk about in the second video. So this is the sideboard, and as you can see, it is very well equipped to handle a red deck or the red and black vampires that sometimes you're seeing in a tournament scene. And so, second game, I brought in the core Firewalkers and Celestial Purges, and I didn't have any problems at all, to be quite honest. Just because I had the sort of protection removal that I needed, I was able to make the sort of blocks and do some advantageous blocking and sort of whittling down the creatures with the core Firewalkers, and just take care of like additional threats that I couldn't handle with Journey to Nowhere with the Celestial Purges. So yeah, that was the tournament. I won 3-0. We did have an extended match to break a 7-player tiebreaker for second place. My fourth match was against a Glistener Elf sort of Giant Growth Infect deck, where, you know, second turn play a Giant Growth and the new Phyrexia card plus a Glistener Elf, and you can hit for up to 6 Infect on second turn. And frankly, the deck sideboard and the deck is really not able to handle Infect Rush. I didn't get any of the turn 1 drops that I needed to handle sort of a Glistener Elf turn 1 play, so you might call that luck, but I lost that match 2-1. My opponent won 2, I won 1, and I won the tournament going 3-0. I won 6 out of 1 matches, and the extended match made it I won 7-3, so I still would have won the tournament. I didn't buy in, but this deck doesn't really have very much, I think, to handle Infect, other than just sort of trading your creatures for their creatures. I should have brought in the other Core Duelist for the later games, just to give me another 1-drop to handle the Glistener Elf. He played the 1/1 blue unblockable, Infector, and really the only real star card that I had against Infect was this. Of course, it didn't even come into play. So I was rather disappointed when this deck ran into Infect, because I just didn't really think that I had a lot of things going for it. Interestingly enough, I think it has enough removal and everything that it can handle the Caw-Blade. But I'll talk a little bit about my experiences in the second match. I'm going to go ahead and end this. Woo! 15 minutes.